What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Light and Lamp podcast here. I am here with Steve.
Hello.
And Joe.
Hello.
And we're doing something pretty unique and pretty exciting. So this is actually going to be the first time ever that we're using our Light and Lamp podcast, quote-unquote, studio that we're putting together. We have all the mics set up. We have everything going on. I'll post a picture on our Twitter of what the setup looks like. It's kind of low-key for now, but I'm really excited. It's the first time we're using this. And we're doing a live draft lottery reaction. So if you hear the TV in the background, that's what's going on. We're going to do live reaction and instant analysis of the NHL draft lottery. So obviously tonight, this could be a big night for a lot of different franchises here. Alexis Lafreniere is on the line. From what I've read, he's not the kind of caliber of player of Connor McDavid. He's not an instantly competitive team, but he's more like a Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, where he shifts your team's focus. Obviously, a big night for the Red Wings. Hopefully, they get this pick. They have a big night going on. They have 2 picks. San Jose does not have a pick. That's Ottawa's pick. What team do you guys think deserves this pick, and what do you think this is going to mean for these franchises here tonight?
Well, I guess I'll go first. Who is that guy? Is he the new general manager of the Sabres? Okay. Anyway,
yeah, because what's his face got canned. Botterill got canned.
I mean, come on. But anyway, sorry. I think Detroit really deserves this pick. I mean, they've already got such a long rebuild ahead of them, and not for nothing. Getting Lafreniere at number 1 for them really just kind of puts together their number 1 line that they're gonna have going forward. And I think once you've settled that kind of argument, like who's going to play where, you can shift your focus because they're going to need a goaltender at some point. They're going to need a defenseman. So at least once you know you have your forwards, you can be like, all right, well, we're good here, and they're only going to get better, especially with Dylan Larkin and Anthony Mantha. Can't really go wrong there.
So let me ask you this, Joe. Is there any thought in your mind if you're picking number 1 that you might pick German prospect Timothy Stützle instead of Alexis Lafreniere?
Honestly, I think I would prefer even Quinton Byfield over either one of them, only because he's got the size, and to me he just looks like he's just somebody that's going to bring you a championship. I mean, even though Lafreniere and Stützle might be excellent players, I'm not giving them that. Just to me, Byfield looks like somebody that's there to win a championship, a cup. He might not be flashy, but it's more of like a Patrice Bergeron or mixed with like Chris Kreider or somebody, that's just there to just win, and I could play a fast, big offensive game.
Do you think, this can go for either one of you, do you think that it's going to depend on the team? So maybe a team like Detroit who's got guys like Dylan Larkin, who's a little bit smaller, should pick somebody like Quinton Byfield to give them a little bit of size. I mean, Anthony Mantha's a big guy on his own, but
I mean, not for nothing. Lafreniere is not small. I think he's 6'1" or 6'2", so he's not a small guy. And I think Detroit's really kind of set down the middle with Bertuzzi at their number 2, which they feel pretty comfortable with. We were actually talking about that Erik Karlsson trade earlier, but that's a whole other issue.
We'll get to the Sharks and how screwed they are, but.
But I mean, Stützle.
Oh my God. So, like I said, we're watching the show, and right now they're just putting up these trades that make me want to die because they're showing the Rick DiPietro trade. So,
Raffi Torres went 5th overall.
Yeah, those late '90s, early 2000s drafts are very strange. Like they're either like number 2, number 3, the Sedins Hall of Famers, or you get like Raffi Torres and then at like the top 5.
So what about German hockey lately? Putting out some really nice players. You got Leon Draisaitl, Mo Seider, Tim Stützle. What's going on with German hockey?
Germany's taken a big step forward, and I think it's really important that I'm going to point out that Draisaitl might be the first big German player to come over. He was mostly North American trained. He came here to play junior. He played all of his junior career here in the Western Hockey League. I don't remember the team, but I think it's really impressive that Mo Seider is entirely German trained, and as is Tim Stützle. And Tim Stützle went to the World Juniors and surprised a lot of established teams. Really, I mean, I think he was a point per game through the tournament. So, I'm impressed. I mean, if you would have told me 15 years ago that German hockey be turning out franchise players, I would have been like, you're nuts.
Yeah, especially a guy that is slated to go second overall. And some people are saying that in the long run might be a better player than Alexei Lafreniere. I think if there's ever a year to not have a first round pick, this might be the year because we've missed out on so much important hockey. We've missed out on the CHL playoffs, the North American Development Program on half of their games, the college hockey playoffs. If there's ever a year to have sleeper picks in the late rounds, I think this would be the year because so much of this draft is really we know a lot, but we don't know a lot.
Well, there are some guys making really big movements in the rankings towards the end of the season. So, like, those guys might have, they might be some projects, but, like, they might really put it all together for a team that's willing to take a shot. Because you really don't know what he would have done in the Memorial Cup had he got there or the NCAA playoffs,
Well, that's why Yaroslav Askarov dropped from the 3rd rank to the 11th because they said, I didn't have a great World Juniors, but, I mean... to a certain extent, it's one of those things where we don't know. Maybe given another tournament, he would have been fine.
See, I have a problem using the World Juniors as like a big barometer for draft rankings. And I understand why teams do it, right? Because it's one of the only places that you get elite prospects playing each other at the highest level. Like, the CHL is good and all, but like you get Lafreniere's team, like their Rimouski Oceanic, and some nights he's going out against a team like, I don't know, like the Lethbridge Hurricane, who might be the worst team in hockey, and he blows them up, So, but I really don't like it because a lot of times those teams really play like their second-year players, right? Like Lafreniere last year really didn't play for the Canadian team. He was a fourth-line player. I think he was a healthy scratch a lot of nights. This year, top-line player puts up, I think, like 11 points in 7 games. Goes nuts, right? Pops off. And then, so for Askarov being a first-year World Junior player in his draft-eligible year, he wasn't on the team last year. He was pretty much the third stringer. He didn't play a lot. So I really think it's fair to judge him based on that because his Russian junior statistics, I don't even know, I think he might have played in some KHL games.
I think he played like the KHL Junior League.
Yeah, so whatever those stats are is really like what you have to judge him on. And by those standards, he's really, really good.
So Joe, let me ask you this. Which of these teams, there's the technically 7 teams, only 6 because San Jose doesn't have their pick. Out of the 6 teams that didn't make the round of 24, because this is an interesting topic to me that I'm really interested to see. Who do you think should take Yaroslav Askarov, knowing that, look, he's 17 years old. You're probably going to be waiting a good 5 to 7 years for him to come over from the KHL. What teams do you see really as being a viable option for the Russian goaltender?
Realistically, I could see Detroit. Depending. I mean, if Detroit's staying in the top 3, I don't think they're going to go and take him. But if Detroit slides down to, 5, 6, 7, you might see them go and try to scoop him up because I don't know how strong their goalie depth chart is. I don't really. Yeah, I mean, they got Jimmy Howard right now.
Who's 35.
Exactly, but, besides that.
Well, here's the other thing with Detroit too that can really lend itself to that argument is Steve Yzerman's known for going off the board. I mean, last year number 6, Mo Seider was ranked 15 of all eligible skaters, and he took him at 6 because he saw something that maybe other people didn't see. And who are any of us to doubt Steve Yzerman, who built the Tampa Bay Lightning into one of the greatest teams in the league?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think honestly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just think to lend what's ironic to this, the team that could use Askarov the most might be the San Jose Sharks because it would answer the goaltending question. Because while they're acquiring pieces in other positions, it'd be okay to have him in the KHL because Martin Jones is okay and serviceable enough if you got him a backup that could play a lot of games to carry you through a pretty mediocre rebuilding phase, maybe get you to the playoffs, but. Then once, you've kind of run your course with Martin Jones, you can see if Askarov is ready to come and play in the NHL,
Well, that was my theory with the Red Wings is, we know the Red Wings are definitely not going to make the playoffs in the next 3 years unless they do some crazy, crazy moves. And even if so, then you're looking at year 4 or 5, and at that time, he's could be ready to come over and he could be ready to play.
What the hell was that?
That.
I think our goal lamp.
I think my goal lamp might have just exploded on us.
Sounds like
Yeah.
the batteries.
Yep. Oh, yeah, no, that's battery acid that's leaking out of there.
Good. We can throw that out.
Yeah, no, it might be sizzling. I think it is sizzling. All right. This is an experience. Don't bring it by me, please, Ron.
What do we do with it?
I'm just gonna go throw it out.
All right. This is a true experience that we have not had yet on this podcast here.
And welcome back to Tech TV. Today we're trying to solve how the hell we fucking broke everything in a matter of 3 seconds.
Should be tight to. That should last you for now.
Yeah, it should be alright.
Where's Drysdale from?
Canada.
What the hell were we talking about?
Dude, before
We're
the...
talking about Yaroslav Askarov.
Okay. Alright.
So what I was saying about Yaroslav Askarov was, I think that a team like LA would be perfect for Askarov just because they haven't started their rebuild yet. They really haven't bought in. They're still paying guys like Jonathan Quick. They're still paying guys like Drew Doughty, Dustin Brown, Anze Kopitar, big contract type guys that are still on the roster.
Jeff Carter.
Yeah, Jeff Carter, that they haven't moved yet. So they really haven't bought in yet. So they're a good, like I would say, 5 to 7 years from... Yeah, up front, yeah, you gotta...
Do you see the mural of himself?
Yeah. You gotta clean up that act a little bit there, buddy.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to judge him. He's definitely at his parents' house, and they're obviously very proud of their son for becoming the number 1 ranked prospect at the NHL level, which, listen, I'd be really proud too if that was my son. But just the image of this kid with his AirPods in, with the mural of himself directly behind his head is just priceless, with the Gatorade bottle and the hockey pucks.
So... Yeah, so I think LA's a good solid 5 to 7 years away from even being close to being ready for the playoffs. So I think that they can afford to wait.
I mean...
So I got to buy a new goal light now.
It's really just like... It's
super unfortunate.
It's all right. You never score anyway.
It's like the California teams are all really could use... Like, even if he slides and somehow, like, Anaheim ends up, like, 9-10, I could see Anaheim making a move at him. Just because they have John Gibson, who's 26 now, but in 5 to 7 years, John Gibson's 32, 31. You know what I'm saying?
Important development to announce. The fact that I was brought 8 cards instead of 7 means that a participant in the qualifying round of the Stanley Cup playoffs has moved into the top 3 overall selection. So
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard here first. A Stanley Cup playoff team is going to have a top 3
so
pick.
the number 8 selection belongs to...
NHL draft belongs to the Buffalo Sabres.
Wow.
Look how upset he is. Look how upset he is.
God, Buffalo just got shafted.
How far did they slide?
They dropped one
One
spot,
slot,
but
okay.
still, I mean, that means some...
The number 7 overall selection
Okay, so let's see.
2020 NHL draft belongs to
Number 7,
New Jersey
the Devils. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, everyone's pretty much getting bumped to slot now. If you're the... I mean, I don't know who that man was. I think that's the interim GM. But, like, you really can't be mad if you're in 7 where New Jersey is, you know?
They don't need another first overall pick anyway.
Number
They have
6
Hishay.
overall selection in the 2020 NHL draft.
So number 6 here, Anaheim Ducks. Okay. So really, so far, the only big shakeup is that a top 3 spot belongs to some team playing in the qualifying rounds, which is absurd. But
Why?
I want to know which team, and I want to know which series that is. Like,
I don't think we'll see the team. I think
they'll give us a letter.
The letter.
It corresponds to a letter, and we can see which playoff round that's from.
belongs to Ottawa Senators.
ooh,
Is that
they
Ottawa?
dropped 2 spots on one of those picks.
Well, that means that one of his other picks is going to be higher, so...
So Ottawa goes to the 5th. They dropped 2 spots from number 3.
Well, that's an
Oh wow! So there's actually was Ottawa's own pick that dropped all the way down. Oh no, that was a San Jose pick. So they dropped 3 spots on that, which
The LA Kings are picking in the top 3.
so Ottawa gets number 5. Number 4 belongs to.
Selection in the 2020 NHL draft.
If this is Detroit, I'll lose my mind. Oh my fucking god, bro!
I want to talk... Okay, listen.
No
Hey,
way.
GMs out there, I know you're not listening, but I'm going to talk to you anyway. GMs of whatever team in the qualifying round that just got this, you just screwed one Oh my God! No team deserved a top.
No way. Detroit drops to number 4.
Edmonton. If this is you again, I'm gonna be so upset. If Edmonton gets this top 3 pick. Oh, commercial.
Wow.
All right, so Detroit drops to number 4. So Detroit
Let's
had.
just say
Detroit slid
the
3
New York
picks.
Islanders do have an amazing general manager.
We don't even have a first round pick.
Yes, but we do have a top 3 protected pick overall.
So if it is our pick, we do get it back.
Yes, which would be crazy because there's no way Lou Lamoriello could have predicted that.
So, all right. So Detroit gets shafted. They drop to number 4. What does this mean for them? What does this mean for the Detroit Red Wings? Because if we take a look at some of the players that are projected around that area,
Hard work, if you know
Jamie
it.
Drysdale, a nice defenseman, Cole Perfetti, Lucas Raymond could be a nice pickup for them.
Marco Rossi's not a bad pick. Jake
Are
Sanderson.
you picking? So are you sticking with? You think you're just going to go with the best available forward at this point in the draft at number 5 or 4?
Yeah, I don't think Jamie Drysdale is like. He's not Bowen Byram. He's not, Quinn Hughes or Eric Carlson. He's not going to like change your franchise. I mean, not for nothing. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to talk, I'm not trying to talk bad about Jamie Drysdale. But I just don't think you take him over a guy like Cole Perfetti or Lucas Raymond, who's the same caliber of player. Like he's not going to change your franchise. But it's a nice pick to have. It's a nice to have a surefire top 6 guy to play with. And Lucas Raymond's fast, man. Like he's really fast.
So are you just taking the best available forward, or are you looking like maybe you want a winger like Lucas Raymond or maybe a center like Cole Perfetti, or are you just taking whoever's available?
I think you kind of grab whoever's available, and at that point, it's probably going to be Cole Perfetti and Lucas Raymond because they're 5 and 6 and they're picking 4. I mean,
and the Detroit Red Wings have some decent defensive prospects going on. Philip Hronek and Dennis Cholowski. Obviously, they still have their forwards: Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, Philip Zadina.
I just think you go with, maybe a guy. Lucas Raymond might be nice to add in there to play with a guy like Philip Zadina, or on your first line. It gives you a little bit of flexibility, and a little bit more like offensive punch than they might have otherwise.
I still can't believe what we just witnessed, but
I can't believe a team in the playoffs, dude, has a top 3 pick.
I just want to
No,
say,
how do we know what teams what pick? By how they get eliminated?
Yeah, they're all signed a letter. So each playing round has a letter, and whatever letter that is corresponds to a draft pick in that lottery order. So essentially, whatever letter comes up here, it's just gonna say like A, B, C, is gonna correspond to a team.
number 3 pick coming in.
Selection in the 2020 NHL draft belongs to the Ottawa Senators.
Wow, so Ottawa dropped from 2nd and 3rd to 3rd and 5th.
Yeah, I mean they held on to their third. The third stayed where it is. So
That's kind of unfortunate, which means some team in the playoffs is picking top 2. If they get the first overall pick, this is rigged.
the first overall pick go to like, dude,
Oh, it's
Matt,
been broken. Don't worry about it.
dude, like, just say something stupid like the New York Rangers somehow get this pick. Do you get Lafreniere?
No, I would just find it.
So the first overall pick belongs to...
Belongs to a team.
Oh my gosh.
You're kidding me, bro. So LA goes number 2.
Well, Quentin Byfield, welcome to Los Angeles. I'd like to formally extend my congratulations
So we
to getting
don't
drafted.
we don't know what team that is. So some team...
New York Islanders, please just get swept. Don't even show up.
Wow.
They're baffled. Luke Robitaille is baffled.
Bro, Luke
He's
Robitaille-
like, I can't believe this. He's like, never.
Dude, the guy on the right, just shocked. Who's the GM? Isn't it
Rob Blake?
Isn't it
it's
Rob Blake?
Yes, it is.
Yo, Rob Blake hasn't moved. He is so shocked. His body is just stiff. What?
So some team playing in the NHL qualifying round is getting Alexei Lafreniere.
Did they name what letter?
No. All right, so excuse my French, but what the fuck just happened?
They're probably not going to name the letter because they don't want a team just tanking it out and saying, screw it, we're not going to win the cup, let's just get Alexei Lafreniere, you know? Like, imagine if your team playing in round C and you're like, it's like the Islanders and Panthers. Like, be honest here, neither one of these teams is probably going to win the Stanley Cup. Why wouldn't you just be like, screw it, I'm just tanking? You know?
Lou Lamoriello predicted it.
So I don't think they will name it. If they do, I mean, you would think that, of course, a team wouldn't intentionally tank. But, I mean, if it's a team like Montreal, what do you have to lose by losing your opening round series against the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Which you're probably going to lose anyway.
Right. So why wouldn't you just be like...
That's the thing is, every single one of those teams, does any of those teams in the qualifying round have a surefire shot of winning the cup?
Yeah. Pittsburgh could win the cup.
Could.
The Rangers have an outside shot at it if they get hot enough.
I mean, it's the playoffs. Any
The
team's
Pittsburgh
gonna
could
have
win
an
the cup.
outside
I mean,
shot.
honestly, the fact that I don't like saying it, but because they fixed some of their goaltending problems with Robin Leonard, Vegas could win the cup. There are teams in that qualifying round that could very well win. It's just like I just can't. So this means that there's a possibility that some team. I can't wrap my. I don't even know how to analyze this. Like some team.
In the
We
top-
literally don't know. Like, it's not even like we don't know how to analyze it. We literally don't know. So we can't talk about where Lafreniere can fit on any of those teams because we'd be talking about 24 teams. Or not 24. We'd be talking about there's 8 that aren't playing in the playing round. So what is that? 16?
There's 16 teams in the play-in round. That
So we'd have to analyze all. We'd be talking about all 16 of those teams.
Well, I will say this, that if he does, which is my favorite team, go to the New York Islanders, that will fix the problem for finding...
okay. So there will be a
Okay.
phase 2. Sorry,
Cool.
go ahead.
That's all right.
I just got locked in. What were you saying?
Yeah, okay.
What?
But I was saying, if somehow this does happen to be the New York Islanders, for example, they were looking for that top-line winger to pair with Matt Barzal. So, and Lafreniere would be that guy, in my opinion. But, you look at a team, let's just say, somebody that's not really going to have, that deep of a center chart, they might go for Byfield.
So the way this is going to work is after the opening qualifying rounds.
It's been a unique year, and we've had a unique draft lottery. It means we're going to
Yeah, unique is a fucking understatement.
which is how
We're like fucking crock of shit. I swear to God, if this is Edmonton again.
So yeah, they're going to say exactly what this tweet says. The way this is going to work is after the qualifying round, all 8 losers of the qualifying round each have a 12.5% chance of winning the number 1 overall pick. So we won't know until after the opening round.
in the qualifying round of the Stanley Cup.
Some
we'll see. Everybody
team.
will have an equal chance, equal weighted chance to win the first overall pick of the 8 teams who failed.
They did this on purpose.
It's going to be, I guarantee you, if Chicago loses their opening round, they're getting the first overall pick. I can actually,
Dude, they're
I'm
gonna
going
give
to
it to
put my
Montreal.
stamp
Dude,
on
watch,
it.
they'll give it to Montreal. They need another Hall of Famer. Yo,
Edmonton.
what?
Edmonton.
There's no. You can't tell me there's no way they didn't do this on purpose and then have it figured out how they were gonna have the first overall pick, done in case this happened. Because they were definitely sitting there going, "There's no way someone's gonna jump from 16 to 1." Oh look, and there's
Patrick Sharp.
hey, Patrick Sharp.
Pittsburgh's going to lose their opening round. They're going to get the first pick.
Oh,
It's-
Keith Jones, my favorite.
It's the Sidney Crosby draft all over again.
A very, very different draft lottery, and we get draft lottery mystery and drama.
I don't even know how to talk about this.
Qualifying teams
So why don't we talk about
We can talk about everything else.
Why don't we talk about some of the other teams? So, LA at number 2. I said I think Yaroslav Askarov's a perfect pick for them, but are you taking Askarov at number 2 over Stützle, Byfield?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So
No.
if you're picking number 2, who are you taking, Stützle or Byfield?
One thing I would like to say is at that point, I feel like you can go out and get a goalie that's kind of more built to win sooner, like Spencer Knight from Florida. Because, look at Sergei Bobrovsky.
They're locked into that.
Yeah, they're locked into that. I guess they determine that is their man. I don't want to say that they gave up on Spencer Knight. But,
Well, to be fair, Bobrovsky was in their plans, and Spencer Knight kind of just fell into their lap, and they were like, "All right, well, we can't not take Spencer Knight."
Yeah.
But so, to his point, I could totally see what he's saying. You could leverage maybe a guy like Gabe Villard, because now if you take Stützle, right, and Stützle's gonna be a surefire elite guy, you can leverage guys like Gabe Vilardi into another player that you need, right? Because Vilardi was the project number 1 center they wanted, and reality is he's not. If they get Stützle, he's not going to get that shot,
So I just want to point out that Detroit had an 18.5% chance of getting the first overall pick, and they dropped all the way to 4th.
Dude, Ottawa had a combined 25% chance, and they slid to 5 and 3. Dude, it's
It's always the 1%. It's the 1%ers. Teammates
So-
did it.
Out of these teams, with the order that we know now, is going to be some random team in the playoffs: L.A., Ottawa, Detroit, Ottawa, Anaheim, New Jersey, Buffalo. Do you see Askarov going in that top 8 at all? Given the fact that teams like that would probably work for him, like Detroit and LA are still in the top 5.
I mean, like I said, even Anaheim's not really a wild place for him. I mean, New Jersey maybe they have Mackenzie Blackwood, but like having a little bit of insurance isn't bad. And Buffalo doesn't have any goal. I mean, they have that. What is his name? Pekka, whatever.
Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah, that guy. The most Finnish name I've ever heard in my life. But I mean, they have. I don't know. I can really see Askarov sliding to 9, 10, 11 now because a lot of these teams they're just going to be players that are just more ready at those positions that they're going to be wanting to take. I mean, are you going to pick Yaroslav Askarov over Marco Rossi at number 6?
I think it depends on what you need, but
I mean, if you're Anaheim picking at 6, are you going to pick Marco Rossi over?
probably not. If
You're probably going to take Rossi, right?
Yeah.
Because Getzlaf's going to retire.
and you still have John Gibson, who's only 26 years old.
Right. So if you're rebuilding for 2-3 years, he'll only be 28, 29.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is when it really comes down to it is goaltenders in the first round are always on a need basis. You're never just picking the best goalie available,
They're you really can't. Goaltenders are so hard to scout pre-drafting because it's unless he's in your face, I'm the best one here. It's so hard to tell because guys it's such a mental game for a lot of those guys, development wise, that it's just you never know. Guys could have all the talent in the world and bust out. Some guy could be like Henrik Lundqvist, right? Some nobody goes in the 7th round, and because
Pekka
Rinne, it's so hard to tell. So Lafreniere has no idea where he's going,
No, and he won't know until after the qualifying round.
and that's if we even play a qualifying round.
Well, I don't know what their contingency plan for that is. Maybe they would just do a redraft.
They just blow it up. They tear it all down.
Well, no, I mean, I feel like then at that point,
All 31 teams would have a legitimate shot at the number 1 overall pick at that point because they'd pretty much be wiping out the season.
no, I think then what they would do
It'd be
would
like
be
Crosby.
the 8 next worst records.
Honestly, what they should probably do is if they don't do a qualifying round, is just do the odds based on point percentages. I think that'd be the fairest way to do it. I don't like the idea. Somebody on Twitter proposed it. I don't like the idea of just doing another Crosby sweepstakes where every team has a chance to get it.
Well, because then you have a team like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and the Rangers were both the worst teams at that point, so they both kind of just were there. But it's then you have the possibility of a team that
Like
just
Tampa Bay Lightning.
sliding in and being we have
Just picking
Lafreniere
up
now on an
Lafreniere.
entry-level contract, so we don't have to
I
deal with
feel
the
like
cap
if they
problems.
did do that, at that point, the NHL would have to step in. Because
It's the NHL's by design of the NHL. That's
Well,
their
if
system.
if they decide to go with every team has an equal shot and it happens, they can't do anything about it.
I know, but I feel like I just can't see the NHL doing that.
They can't say no. There's nothing. There's no legal precedent to
Or
stop
I feel like they
them.
would at least at that point just say if you were definitely guaranteed a playoff spot, you were locked out of getting that pick.
I think the way the first pick works is, typically the way it works, I think, is if you're in the playoffs, obviously you don't get a chance at it.
Yeah.
But if they tear it down and say what's 100 divided by 31, everyone has a 3.3% chance of getting a pick.
because
There's
there's
nothing you can
there's
do
no
about
way
it.
to determine.
Because that's the way the Crosby sweepstakes worked, is every team had an equal shot because there's a total lockout. So even a team that won the cup before the lockout had a chance to get Sidney Crosby.
So and there's no way, there's no realistic way to do it better
They
than
can't-
that.
yeah.
Because you can't be well, you were a playoff team, and it's yeah, but there were no playoffs.
So, I'm not going to put on my tinfoil hat. I know I've been saying things like Chicago's going to get it, Pittsburgh's going to get it. I'm not going to put on my tinfoil hat and tell you the NHL rigged this lottery, but it's really hard not to think that there
There's
is some
kind of hand
skin
in it.
in the game for having a team like Chicago maybe get that pick instead of a team like Buffalo or a team like
Well, here's
Ottawa.
the thing:
Big TV market.
if they don't have a season, would the teams that are already solidified, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, etc.,
They would just redo it. They would just redo the whole thing.
They would redo the whole entire
They'd have to
thing.
redo the whole thing.
I don't know. I don't
There's
actually.
no way they could hold on to this.
I don't.
Oh, they're talking about the hub cities.
I have no idea what their backup plan is. I don't know if it's been
I
published
don't
or
even know
not.
they have one.
But I do know that if they did end up scrapping the playoffs, first of all, they would have a lot of figuring out to do with all the conditional trade picks and stuff like that
And
happen.
they'd also have to figure out the salary cap.
I imagine that they would probably keep it the same. I can't imagine them expanding the salary cap after all that revenue being lost.
It's probably gonna stay at 81. Yeah.
Which would really screw some teams over.
A lot of teams are expecting it to jump to like 83.
So, I don't know. It's going to be difficult to kind of determine, obviously, who gets first pick because we don't know. It's going to be weird to try to determine anything. We can talk about, like, there's some teams that will likely lose their first round series. I think that Montreal is a big underdog. I think that
The Panthers are a pretty big underdog at this point.
I think we would consider.
I mean, that's a pretty equal 50-50 shot, I guess.
I think we would consider certain teams more likely to lose their series than other ones. But you still don't know, because what if Montreal knocks out Pittsburgh? Well, now Pittsburgh has a chance to get Alexei Lafreniere. I think certain teams, like maybe Minnesota, is considered a bit of an underdog. Although some people were saying they're going to beat the Canucks, and that's like, in what
forgot
universe?
Minnesota even made the play round. Who's Toronto playing in the playoffs right now? And they're
Aren't
playing
they
rounds?
locked in? They're not playing anybody, aren't they, in the next round?
No, Toronto is playing Pittsburgh.
No, Montreal's playing Pittsburgh.
I'm so stupid. Hold on, because I have this all saved, and who the hell are they playing? Hold
I don't know,
on.
because the top three is Boston,
Tampa Bay, Boston,
Washington,
Columbus.
Oh yeah, they're playing Columbus.
Oh yeah, okay. So we can say the Columbus Blue Jackets have a pretty strong chance at losing that series, just based on the fact that like their top line center is Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he's got to play against John Tavares or Austin Matthews.
The only team I could see Columbus maybe squeaking it out if their defense shuts down Toronto, because Seth Jones is going to be healthy and Eunice Corposalo is going to be healthy, but I would consider them a big underdog going in.
I mean, shall we look back to this time last year
When they were
playoffs?
the biggest underdogs and they pulled off the biggest upset in playoff history.
What does it say? Like, I don't
against a team that was.
But listen, that's also a different team. That had Artemi Panarin on it. It had Sergei Bobrovsky. Like that
Matt
was a different
Duchene.
team. Yeah, that was a different team. They're not
Duchene.
nearly as like lethal up front as they are.
I see the Calgary Flames sliding out.
So you know what's really dumb is because these two teams are playing each other. Either one of Edmonton or Chicago is going to get a chance at Lafreniere because they're playing each other.
I'm putting on my tinfoil hat, Rob. I'm busting out the tinfoil hat.
So one of those two teams is going to get a chance at Alexei Lafreniere.
I don't.
Yeah, I think Montreal. I guess a lot of people are considering Arizona to be an underdog, but I think they're going to beat the Predators. So I don't agree with that.
I just think the Predators' goaltending has been so shaky this year that like
It depends on what-
they put themselves in a underdog position.
It depends on what Pekka Rinne shows up.
Well, that's kind of it. You don't know because the Pekka Rinne that showed up this season was kind of doo-doo.
It was just not good.
And UC Saros kind of didn't help. He kind of dug himself a hole too. So, I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where we don't know what's going to happen. And I do feel bad for Detroit. I feel bad for Buffalo, because you got to feel bad for Buffalo and Detroit, thinking like they both had the seasons that they had, and now they get to watch some team that made the playoffs pick Alexei Lafreniere.
Well, can we really call it the playoffs?
Yeah, no, this is the
Well, they're the
playoffs.
play-in round, so I don't think technically the teams can claim that they made the 2020 playoffs until they get into the bracket. So the top 4 teams in each division can say, because they're going in, but you're in the play-in round. So I don't think it like when we talk about like playoff series droughts, I don't think this will count as breaking a drought on the record books,
Probably not.
because you're not in a bracket. You're in a play-in round.
Yeah, you're essentially the MLB wild card team. You're in a
Right.
play-in round.
So it's just tough because, I mean, what if Pittsburgh loses and they get Lafreniere first overall, and Detroit has to sit there with the season that they had and watch this
Sidney
team
Crosby hand him the jersey. Like
like
he's like, "Welcome to the club, kid." Like you're just like Steve Eisman's just gonna be just a single tier.
So, do you think that there's
Toronto.
any teams in the qualifying round that would you be trading this pick under any circumstances, or are you taking Lafreniere?
I don't know.
You're taking Lafreniere. You're the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're taking Lafreniere. You're not going to get that caliber of player under that type of contract
And I mean,
in a cap crunch.
but if you're Toronto, that kind of wedges out somebody in your top 6.
yeah, but like for example,
I mean,
you
like
can
William
go
Nylander's probably going to be the odd man out then.
Zach Hyman at that point.
I mean, Hyman you'd keep. He's on a pretty friendly contract. It's really
Yeah,
that
but I'm
$6 million that makes William Nylander expendable then.
No, but I'm saying like let's just say Zach Hyman. I don't know what does Zach Hyman make. Can somebody look that up for me?
It's probably like, I think it's like 2.5 or 3.
The issue is, for a team like Toronto, who's ultimately in the long run going to need sustainable cap practices, is trading a guy who's on a team-friendly contract for 3 years of Lafreniere, who's probably going to end up making like $6, $7, $8 million on a bridge deal, worth it?
I don't think so. And that's why I think like moving a guy like Nylander really would be the big move, because Nylander would free up that cap room.
Zach Hyman
going
makes
forward.
2.25. Just
So just hear
Putting
me
that out
out.
there.
Hear me out. I would like to like think about this a little more unethical. If a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs do get the first pick, I say draft the player, because you have Lafreniere, you trade somebody like Zach Hyman, you're still going to have an extra, $1.5 million in cap room you didn't have before. You can get some insurance on the blue line, and then after the 3 years, just trade somebody out.
They need a whole blue line, though, is the issue. After this offseason, they have a
they have
single
one
defenseman.
player. Yeah, that's
Morgan
the
Rielly.
problem.
That is true.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. So to a certain extent, like
I mean,
Zach Hyman, right? You trade away a guy like Zach Hyman who's making 2.25. Now you have Lafreniere for 3 years at $9.75. He's going to make the max rookie contract.
and whatever performance bonuses you build in, but
The
that's not a
problem
cap
is,
thing.
after the fact, it's very unsustainable, because let's be honest, when this Zach Hyman 2.25 contract is up, you can probably get him again, unless he breaks out. You can probably get him again for like $2.5, $3 million. Lafreniere, if he hits his potential like we think he will, if he hits the potential that people are saying, he's probably going to ask, if you get him on a bridger, 6, 5, 6.
I mean, what's
but
Laine's bridge deal looking like right now? That 2-year bridge deal he signed, like
Oh, he's going to want
he's
bucks.
Well, he's making like $6 million on
after
that
this
bridge.
contract. Yeah, exactly. But if you win the cup, do you really care at that point? It's always a give and take.
not just that, you can also trade away Lafreniere and get another Zach Hyman-like player and get more draft pick for the future and continue your team going on. It would be like getting a rental and then trading that rental right back
But I
off
think
at
you'd
the
probably be
draft.
trading a guy like Austin Matthews in that situation.
Let me ask you this. Pittsburgh Penguins. They've shown that in the era of 87 and 71, they're going for the cup every year. They did it again this year by trading for Jason Zucker. They've been going for the cup every single year since they've had 87 and 71. Knowing that Crosby and Malkin are getting up there, 30, 31, 32, I don't know how old they are now. If you're Pittsburgh, I think you're trading this pick to win the cup, because what's the point? You get Alexei Lafreniere now, and then you don't win the cup for the next 3 years, and you basically just waste the last 3 to 5 years of Crosby and Malkin.
Or you can go, in my opinion, you can go for a guy like Quinton Byfield, throw him even on a third line center, and at the trade deadline, if you're not liking the position you're at, you can do a quick rebuild and trade somebody like Evgeny Malkin, who still might have a couple years left in the tank. He's making, 8.7 right now, I think Malkin's making? Same as Crosby?
Yeah. That's a spicy take. I don't...
Because then, let's just say, you look at a team, somebody that is in a better position than you, that has the cap room, or let's just say you trade them and you get a solid top 6 forward, solid top 4 defenseman, and then let's just say you might get their first overall, because, I mean, look at the way the trades are going this year. I'm an Islander fan. I was not happy with giving up a first, second, and third for Pajot. I mean, I don't think he's worth those many draft picks. Who knows what Evgeny Malkin would be worth right now if he hit the block, especially next year. So, and then if you're Pittsburgh, you have Crosby on the team for a little bit longer. You can start rebuilding your team around that. And everybody knows Crosby is going to be probably a Pittsburgh Penguin for life, retire 87 in black and yellow, and if anything, he'd probably start taking more cap-friendly contracts towards the end of his career. I mean, it's sometimes people look at it as you have to hold on to your veterans, but at the same time, if you're not in the position to win, sometimes you got to let go of big pieces to make a quicker rebuild.
It's an interesting thought, and I've heard somebody made this argument to me, and this has changed the way that I looked at trading draft picks, which is the draft pick you're trading away, you can't just think of it as, oh, this is a first-round pick, because that's the way I used to think about it too, like, oh, it's a first-round pick, you can't trade your first-round pick, right? You have to think of it as, is the player that I'm going to be drafting with my first-round pick going to turn into the player I'm getting in return? So if the Islanders' idea was that they would make the playoffs this year, so their pick would be somewhere in 16th to 30th. What are the odds that a pick between 16 to 30 is going to net you a J.G. Pageau? I'd say 50-50, because Pageau is a unique type of player. He's a 200-foot player, can score you 20, 25 goals. He can be on a power play penalty kill. What really are the odds you're going to get a guy like him? And when people talk about like trading for Taylor Hall, the first-round pick, really, if you're picking outside the top 10, the odds, of course I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There are guys that go in the 7th round that are NHL All-Stars and Hall of Famers.
Pavel Datsyuk.
Right. But realistically, what are the odds that that's going to happen? If you're trading a pick that's 20 to 30th, what are the odds you're going to get a guy like Taylor Hall in that?
A consistent 40-goal scorer. Yeah, no, it's just you're not.
So when somebody pointed out to me, it's changed the way I look at draft picks, where it's like, maybe firsts aren't as important as we thought. I mean, like I said, if there was ever a year to not have a first-round pick, this is it. Because there's so many wide open guys that we don't know about because we didn't get that second, third, fourth look at them.
Yeah, how many guys would be on the cusp of probably going into the first round, if not even go deeper into the first round? I mean, deeper, higher into it, like, closer to 20th, that because they didn't get to play the last 3-4 months are going to be going, 40th, 50th now.
Do you guys place so much faith in Lafreniere that you wouldn't even trade down? Because a lot of guys are saying that he's not a Connor McDavid type player. He's more like a Jack Eichel. And Jack Eichel's a fantastic hockey player, but he didn't immediately make the Buffalo Sabres competitive. He's not the kind of player like a Crosby or a McDavid. He's not generational. He's just a fantastic player. But some people are saying that maybe a guy like Timothy Stützle is the same caliber player. We just didn't know. Would you be shocked if this team that comes out of it... I mean, obviously it's hard to say because you don't know what team it is, but would you consider trading down?
I don't think so, because I don't...
If you're a team that is in the playoffs and you're thinking, ooh, maybe I want Yaroslav Askarov, but I think he's going to drop to like 11th because we're set for life now. We're in the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs the next 3 to 5 years, but maybe 5 to 7 years we need him. Do you think that a team like that might trade down?
Yeah, I can see that, because like if that's your mentality, right, then you're obviously not operating on the best available player model, which is how a lot of teams operate in the draft, and that's like north of the top 15 picks. You're just looking at like the best available player, and then you don't really looking at position. But like if you're like, we have a real serious need at goaltending, and we should probably just take a chance on it. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, you call up whoever's at 11, say it's like, I don't know.
It's going to be some team in the qualifying round.
Yeah, like the Minnesota Wild. And you're just like, hey, you want the first overall pick? You want Lafreniere? And I would sob watching Lafreniere go to Minnesota, just because you'd never hear about him again. But, I could see it.
You're the general manager, and we'll leave off with this. We'll do final thoughts and then we'll wrap it up. But you're the general manager of the New York Rangers. You've just been handed the first overall pick. Do you need another forward, or are you trading down, dropping 2, 3, 4 picks, taking Jamie Drysdale, and whatever bonus you can get for trading away the first pick?
I think the Rangers are in a unique situation where the team's still really young, so adding any other young talent really wouldn't be that far outside of the box. And I think like if they had the chance to draft a guy like Lafreniere or Stützle, I think the team would really jump on it, because realistically Stützle would solve a lot of questions that we have right now about who's our number 2 centerman. It would clearly be, it's Timothy Stützle behind Mika Zibanejad. So I could see them doing it. But like trading away a pick, I mean, I could see them doing it too. But
I guess
the Rangers aren't really looking for.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you need another forward? Not that the Rangers don't have good defensive prospects. They have Adam Fox and Tony DeAngelo, but they're a little bit more offensive, whereas what we're hearing from Jamie Drysdale, he's a little bit more of a shutdown two-way type guy.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, honestly, I have faith in whatever Jeff Gordon decides, voodoo he decides to pull off, because he's been really good for us. I don't know. Because I'd love to see Lafreniere or Stützle in New York Ranger blue, but is that the economical thing to do? Is that the right thing to do? Because it just puts us in a bigger cap crunch, especially when we already have forwards like Panarin making $11.5 million a year. So I could see the credence to wanting to move down and get away from having to maybe put yourself in a hole like that again.
So, do you guys have any last minute thoughts you want to add to this NHL draft lottery reaction?
Yeah, if I swear to God, if this is the Edmonton Oilers get this first overall pick again, I will stop watching the NHL, because that is another first overall pick.
What did I tell you earlier today?
If it's Edmonton, Chicago, or Pittsburgh, I'm putting on the tinfoil hat.
If it's the New York Islanders, I'm literally praising Lou Lamoriello, because I don't know how this man...
When you saw one out of medium, bro.
No, when I heard him go, top 3 protected, I'm like, it's just why? Why would you even mention that? I'm like, what are the probabilities of the Islanders at that moment not making the playoffs? Secondly, sliding all the way down to the top 3 pick, and right now there is a better chance than I would have thought even an hour ago. So,
will you be mad if we win our series just because that means we can't get Lafreniere?
Not necessarily, because we still have a lot of young players, and at that point we're in the playoffs, and
anything can happen.
Anything could happen, and I hate saying that, because who would we play at that point? We would play what?
You have no idea.
We still would have no idea. I thought it would be Tampa Bay.
No, because they have to play. They have to
play the qualifying rounds.
They have to seed those guys based on that tournament. So
it's oh boy, we might get swept out by the Bruins or the Lightning, but we made it.
It's but you match up against the Capitals, and you're they're not as strong as they used to be. So maybe.
Yeah. So you heard it here, not first, because I'm sure you guys are watching this, but I'm gonna try to upload this tonight. But you heard it here, folks. Some team in the qualifying round is getting the first overall pick in Alexei Lafreniere. The poor Detroit Red Wings drop down to number 4. Ottawa does not get the second and third like they were hoping. LA jumps all the way to second. They'll likely pick either Quinton Byfield or Timothy Stützle. And I think that this makes the case for Askarov a whole lot more interesting as potentially outside the top 8 picks.
You also heard it here first. Our goal light exploded on us on the first day of the use. So
I have to go look at it because I put it upstairs. I think what it might have been is I just took random batteries from around the house. So that battery might have been old, and you're not supposed to mix new and old batteries. So
yeah, bro, the battery exploded. There was literally liquid acid pouring out of it, and it was sizzling and making noise.
It was in contact
To be fair, I bought it for $10 on eBay.
To be fair, I have never heard a AA battery sizzle and pop before. Still, even worse. They're
Maybe
smaller.
It's because you picked it up and it stopped rotating and didn't know what to do.
I probably no.
Discharged electricity.
It probably stopped working because when I picked it up, the battery probably rotated and the acid.
It's all right. You know what? I'm literally, after we stop recording this, I'm just gonna order a new one because why not?
Yeah.
I don't care.
I really want to hear the playback of that though, because that's probably the craziest thing.
Yeah. So I don't know what our next episode's gonna be. I gotta figure out what we're gonna do.
Let's copy the NHL. Let's just start talking about who the more numbers best. Let's not do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, once the playoffs start, we'll be back to doing our weekly content.
Probably before it starts, right? We'd probably do a matchup game.
Yeah.
A matchups one.
So we'll do the week before the playoffs start. We'll do the matchups one. So as of right now, we're still doing the every 2 week sort of situation. I really don't know what the next one's going to be. Maybe we'll talk about who the hell knows. I got to figure it out. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys again next time.
Bye.